Think about what would happen if you stopped working. How long can you live on the money you still have? I just asked you to explain what wealth is. Robert Kiyosaki is an American investor, businessman, author, motivational speaker, and financial commentator who has become well known in recent years and is thought to be worth about $80 million. Want to learn something cool? He didn't grow up in a wealthy family. In fact, his family was like most other people who work but don't know much about money and often have trouble making ends meet. Why working hard doesn't make you rich? How did Robert get so wealthy? Let's look at what he says in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, explained in English. It is one of his best-selling books. Hello everyone, welcome to Success Wisdom. In this video, we're going to talk about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, explained in English, animation. If you're new to this channel, do like and subscribe to the channel. Robert Kiyosaki was born in April 1947 in Hilo, Hawaii. In 1957, when Robert was 9 years old, he went to the same public school that the rich sent their kids to. Many doctors, business owners, and bankers lived in his town. Robert could see that the rich kids would stay away from him because his family couldn't buy the latest toys and bikes like theirs. So one day, Robert asked his father, who had a PhD and good degrees from a number of universities, "Dad, can you tell me how to get rich?" Even though his dad was rich, he didn't know the right answer. So he told him, "Well, use your head, son. Stay in school and do well on your tests so you can find a safe job." Poor dad is what people will call his real dad. At this time, he wasn't poor. In fact, he was making a lot of money. However, this man's financial situation got worse in the end. Now, little Robert has a friend named Mike. Mike's dad is called Rich Dad, and he started teaching Robert and Mike how to really get rich. Rich Dad wasn't really rich yet, but he soon became one of the richest people in Hawaii. So what did Robert learn from Rich Dad? Rich Dad taught these kids a lot about money and taught them many important lessons. First, you need to know the difference between an asset and a liability, and that you need to buy assets. This is all you really need to know and understand if you want to be rich. The rich get assets, while the poor and middle class get liabilities, which they sometimes think are assets. The main reason people have trouble with money is that they don't know the difference between an asset and a liability. You have no idea what an asset or a liability is, right? Something that makes me money is an asset. Something that costs me money is called a liability. For example, let's look at how a normal person spends their money. This person has a job and spends his money on things like food, clothing, entertainment, and transportation. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any assets. However, he does have a lot of liabilities, like mortgages, taxes, credit cards, loans, and believe it or not, the house itself, that keep taking money out of his pocket. Now, let's look at how the real cash flow pattern works for the wealthy. Instead of trying to make more money at their regular job, which would be their only source of income, they buy assets that bring them money as a form of passive income. As included in the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, explained in English because of this. Hard work won't make you rich, but passive income will. Passive income is money that comes in without you having to work for it. In other words, you can make money even while you're sleeping. Businesses that don't need you to be there are examples of assets. These include stocks, bonds, mutual funds, income-producing real estate, royalties, notes, and anything else that has value and makes money. As we've already said, Poor Dad made a lot of money from his job, but he always spent more than he made, so he never had enough money to invest in assets. Because of this, his mortgages and credit card debts grew over time. This is because his income was the same as his expenses and his assets were less than his debts. Sadly, This is what put poor Dad in debt even after he died. Rich Dad's personal financial statement, on the other hand, shows that he has spent his life investing and reducing his debts. As a result, his income is more than his expenses because his assets are more than his debts. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Basically, this is why the rich are getting richer. Their assets bring in more money than they need to cover their costs, and the rest is put back into the asset column. Since the asset column keeps getting bigger, so does the income. Both dads work hard, but they thought and felt different things about it. One dad told his son to work hard in school so he could find a good job. Another tip is to work hard at school so you can find a good company to buy from. One dad told me that my kids are the reason why I'm not rich. The other person said that since I have children, I must be rich. When it comes to money, someone said, "Don't take chances. Learn to handle your risks," said the other. "I can't afford it," said one. "How can I pay for that?" asked the other. Even though both men valued education and learning a lot, they had different ideas about what was most important to learn. Robert's rich dad taught him that the truth about most people is that their lives are always driven by fear and greed. That keeps you in a routine where you wake up, go to work, and pay bills. Get up, go to work, and pay your bills. This is why hard work doesn't make you rich. Fear keeps them in this trap where they work, make money, work, make money, and hope that the fear of not having money will go away. Instead of facing their fears, they let their feelings take over instead of using their heads. People also work for money because of the emotion of desire, which some people call greed. They want money because they think it will make them happy. But the happiness that money brings usually doesn't last long. Soon, you need more money to feel happy, comfortable, and safe. Don't give up on going to school to improve your chances of getting a high-paying job. A lot of people are driven by the same fear and desire. Education and a job are important, but they won't solve that fear by themselves. You need to learn the power of money, not be afraid of it, to deal with that fear. Most schools don't teach about this though, and if you don't learn it, money will control you. If you don't know much about money, it can make you greedy and scared, which can lead you into the biggest trap in life, which is to always work. Rich Dad told me to learn to think with my emotions, not with my emotions. I need to get a new job is an example of an emotional thought. I deserve a raise. This job is safe, which is why I want it. Instead of thinking clearly like, am I missing something here? This is the way things are. For most people, your job is how you make money. For the rich, their assets are how they make money. If I ask you to describe your wealth, how long could you live without working from now on? You might laugh at me and say I no longer work for money because money works for me. In summary of Rich Dad Poor Dad, explained in English, you need to identify the assets and liabilities. Most important is to create multiple streams of income. Invest in yourself and your education. We've reached the end of another video, and thank you for watching. I hope you have learned something from this video. If you like this video, do give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below. Thank you and goodbye.